We need that determination, and that's why I'm offering this amendment. Mr. President, if time permits, I would also like to step aside from the current topic to briefly discuss another matter. If I don't want to exceed a time limitation that might be in place, but it appears that I can go forward with that without a problem. Mr. President, I also want to discuss the subject of a vote last week by UNESCO, the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, to grant membership to the Palestinian Authority, even though it is not a recognized country. UNESCO really should not have the authority to do so, but through a vote in the United Nations, it did just that. The United States has been an on and off supporter of UNESCO. It's been a lot of controversy with UNESCO over its lack of effectiveness, the cost to the taxpayer, its appointment of some highly questionable heads of various entities of UNESCO, leading the Human Rights Office. I think the country of Libya had that leadership at one point, and it has resulted in responses and questions as to whether we should continue funding that organization. We currently support that. But this action that has been taken to admit the Palestinian Authority as a member state is, I would submit, completely misguided and very deeply damaging. UNESCO's decision has further dimmed prospects for a negotiated peace in the Middle East. My fear is that this step, which the Palestinians mistakenly regard as a success, will encourage them to press for membership in other UN bodies as well. Doing so will harm Israel, harm the Palestinians' own interest, harm the UN agencies involved, and damage our own national interest. And as a consequence of this action, the U.S. is obligated. I want to point out to my colleagues, it's important that we understand that as a consequence of the action taken by UNESCO, the United States is obligated under law to terminate all funding for UNESCO and any other UN body that admits the Palestinian Authority. Public Law 101-246, which passed in 1990, states that, and I quote, "No funds authorized to be appropriated by this act or any other act shall be available for the United Nations or any specialized agency thereof which accords the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, the same standing as member states." That, Mr. President, is the law. That is what has been enacted through votes in this body and signed by presidents of the United States. In 1994, Congress passed Public Law 103-236, which prohibits, and I quote, "voluntary or assessed contribution to any affiliated organization of the United Nations which grants full membership as a state to any organization or group that does not have the internationally recognized attributes of statehood," which the PLO does not have. The Senate, on a vote codifying this information, or codifying these laws, or reaffirming, I should say, passed this legislation 92-8, indicating that this is clearly should be a non-controversial and nonpartisan issue, a 92-8 vote. The reason I'm speaking here today is that despite our legal obligation to suspend funding as a result of UNESCO's latest action, there have been some discussions, some speculation, that it may be possible to find alternative ways to financially support UN agencies like UNESCO that have taken this step of admitting the Palestinians as a member. That would be a total mistake. And I want to reiterate the fact that it would be a violation of the law. And so therefore, I come to the floor today to introduce a bill that serves as an emphatic restatement of that law, making its consequences more certain. Furthermore, I'm introducing this language as an amendment to the current appropriations bill that will clarify that no taxpayer dollars can be used to fund UNESCO. We must slam the door on any speculation of any kind of backdoor financial support for the United Nations or the United Nations agencies that grant membership to Palestine. This bill does exactly that. There is no reason, or this amendment, I would say, there is no reason why this purposeful restatement of existing law should not have bipartisan support. The threat to prospects for a negotiated, just, and lasting peace that is posed by this recent Palestinian tactic is more tangible now than in the past, and our determination to discourage such a dangerous tactic should be stronger than ever. I ask that my colleagues join in support of this legislation that makes it clear to UNESCO and to the United Nations, and clear to Israel, clear to the Palestinian Authority, and clear to the rest of the world that the United States will not tolerate attempts to admit the Palestinian Authority and undercut negotiated peace efforts in the Middle East. I'm hoping, Mr. President, we will have a vote on this to once again reaffirm our determined commitment to live by the laws that we have passed and to not allow an agency of the United Nations or any part of the United Nations that is used to grant statesmanship and nationhood to an entity that has not qualified for that. And I hope that this reaffirmation will also put to rest any speculation or any attempts to circumvent the laws that exist on the book. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.